All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the single most painful, soul-crushing part of chess, the blunder. You know, that one move that takes a beautiful, winning game and just throws it right in the trash. We've all been there. But today, we're going to figure out why it happens and, more importantly, how to stop it for good.
Oh, you know this feeling. You see this brilliant plan, this absolutely killer combination. Your heart starts pounding. You get that rush of adrenaline, and you slam the move down. And then, silence. The horror sets in. Time kind of slows down as you watch your opponent's mouse hover, and then you see it. You just hung your queen for nothing. It's a pain we all share, from total beginners to grandmasters.
And here's the truly frustrating part, right? You can spot these exact mistakes in a puzzle book in like 5 seconds. But you miss them in your own games. So this isn't a knowledge problem. You know what a fork is. You know what a pin is. This is a process problem. Your thinking method has a bug in the code. And today, we are going to debug it. Okay, so here's the deal. Your brain has these little shortcuts, these biases, that are great for, not getting eaten by a tiger, but they're absolutely terrible for finding the best move in a complex chess position. So to stop blundering, we first have to understand these psychological traps that our own minds are setting for us. So check this out. These aren't really chess problems, they're human problems that just get put under a microscope on the board. Confirmation bias is a huge one. You find a cool attacking idea and your brain just goes into overdrive trying to prove that you're a genius instead of looking for the one simple move that refutes the whole thing. And wishful thinking. Come on, we all know it. That's hope chess. You play a move and just pray they don't see the obvious reply. Well, let me tell you, hope is not a strategy. And if you think this stuff is just for us regular folks, think again. This is a story about the legend himself, world champion Jose Raul Capablanca, one of the greatest of all time. So, he's at this major tournament, and his wife shows up unexpectedly. The problem? He was, let's just say, distracted by someone else at the event. He was so flustered, so emotionally tilted, that he immediately played a monster blunder. And then, you're not going to believe this, he blundered again in the exact same game. If these psychological factors can take down a legend like Capablanca, you better believe they can get to us. Okay, so we've seen how our minds can play tricks on us. But it's not just about what you're thinking, it's about what your eyes are quite literally not even processing. There's some really cool science here that explains exactly why those sniper bishops seem to materialize out of thin air. So your visual system isn't like a camera that sees the whole board perfectly all at once. Nope, it's sharpest right where you're looking. But at the edges, things get blurry, they get jumbled. This is a real thing called visual crowding. When a piece is surrounded by other pieces way out in your peripheral vision, your brain just can't get a clear signal. That's why that bishop on g7 hiding behind some pawns feels totally invisible, right until it snaps off your rook on b2. It was there the whole time, but your brain just couldn't see it clearly. And then there's this other crazy mental glitch. It's called a retained image error. You calculate some beautiful 5-move line. On move 2, a pawn takes another pawn. But in your mind's eye, as you're calculating move 5, you still see that pawn on its original square, defending a key piece. You're basically calculating on a ghost image of the board. Then you play the whole thing out and, oops, that square isn't defended anymore. It's a huge source of blunders. So you might think, okay, I'll just look everywhere all the time. But here's the wild part. Eye tracking studies show that expert players, they actually move their eyes less than we do. How is that possible? Well, they've stored thousands of patterns, chunks, in their memory. They can look at the center and instantly see a whole kingside attack set up as one single idea. We don't have that yet. So for us, the takeaway is clear. We have to compensate by physically, consciously scanning the entire board from a1 to h8 on every single move. Okay, so let's put it all together. We know blunders come from rushing, from our own brain's biases, and from these literal blind spots in our vision. The solution isn't to magically get a 200 IQ. The solution is to build a better process, a system, a repeatable checklist. And this right here is the key takeaway of this whole video. This is the secret sauce. I'm about to give you a simple, repeatable 3-step checklist that if you use it on every single move, I promise you will save you hundreds of rating points. This is your anti-blunder shield. The whole point of this checklist is to slow you down just enough to save you from yourself. That brilliant move you just found? It'll probably still be brilliant in 3 seconds,
But those 3 seconds give your rational brain just enough time to wake up and shout, "Wait, does this hang or queen?" It turns that dangerous impulse into disciplined thought.
Here it is. It's so simple, but you've got to do it every time. Step 1. After they move, you forget about your own plans. You only think, what are their new checks, captures, and threats? That's it. Only after you answer that, you go to step 2. Find your own move. But, and this is the most important part, you do not play it. Sit on your hands if you have to. Then, step 3, you do the final scan. You pretend to make your move on the board, and then you mentally switch chairs. You become your opponent, and you ask with a nasty look on your face, okay, what's the dumbest thing about the move they just played? You're actively trying to destroy your own idea.
This whole idea is perfectly captured in what's known as Blumenfeld's rule. It's about psychological detachment. You have to emotionally disconnect from your genius move for just a second and look at it with cold, critical eyes. Look at it like your opponent just played it against you. This little mental flip is one of the most powerful blunder prevention tools there is.
Now look, a checklist is a great tool, but it's totally useless if you forget to use it. Someone on Reddit put it perfectly. It's easy to get into the game tunnel, where you're just reacting and you only remember your checklist after you've already dropped a piece. So here's how we make this an unbreakable habit. Every one of these tips is designed to break that dangerous autopilot mode. First, playing slower is non-negotiable. You can't build this habit in bullet chess. You need time. Physically sitting on your hands, it sounds silly, but it works. It creates a physical barrier to that impulsive mouse click. Actively scanning the corners fights that visual crowding we talked about. And when you analyze your games, don't just look at the engine. Ask yourself, why did I miss that? Was I falling for confirmation bias? Did I forget my final scan? That's how you really learn and improve.
Hey, if you want to keep improving your process and cut out these painful mistakes, make sure you subscribe. We're all on this journey to get better together, and there's a lot more to cover.
At the end of the day, preventing blunders isn't about finding some magic trick. It's about building a disciplined process, move by move and game by game. The checklist is the blueprint, but you're the one who has to build the house. Good luck.